The season is officially over. The Kansas City Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs. Guys, it's funny because like last week I was saying I'm very optimistic that we're going to make the playoffs. I made some graphics. I showed us the path to the playoffs. Well, the first thing, Garrett, on that list of the path to the playoffs,
Win out, baby.
gotta win out. And
Who knew?
we did not do that. We lost
did
the
not
first
do that.
game of the schedule. Garrett, I will give you credit. You said we were either going to lose to the Chargers or Broncos and the season would be over anyway. We got it out over quick. You know what, Garrett, I will say, I'm happier if I had to pick when I'm eliminated from the playoffs. Rather it be sooner than later, because you're already seeing by a lot of the transactions that the Chiefs are doing, they're preparing to see who's actually good on this team, because a lot of young guys are getting their opportunities starting next week against the Titans, and we get to see some Gardner Minshew football. Who couldn't be more excited for Gardner Minshew football? I'm not going to lie. I love Gardner Minshew. Now, obviously, this season was a disaster class. This season has a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blame, a lot of trade this guy, fire this guy. Why the hell is Embry a coach? Why the hell is Nagy on our team anymore? Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's not. Who's to blame? We're going to talk it. We're going to talk shop. Welcome back, watchers and listeners to the show. I'm your host, David Picorni, running that Instagram on Talking Chop. Garrett over here, offensive line coach over at Blue Valley North. Garrett, what are your initial thoughts after being eliminated from the playoffs?
You know,
this early?
I had talked about it earlier. I mean, I've kind of been, content with how this season has been gone the last couple weeks. I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and we're gonna see Gardner Minshew in these last 3 games. We're gonna see, our younger guys go out there, which, as we've seen from the guys that have come into the field after injury, maybe our younger guys might be where it's at on this team so far. I mean, we've had guys like Esapole and Chukwuebuka Godric going in there and playing really good ball over people that were starting over them, such as people like Jawan Taylor, Wanye Morris, and playing better than the people that were put ahead of them. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where else on this roster we have depth pieces that should be starting. And I know people are going to be, hating on Gardner Minshew for that, late interception in the Chargers game. But, looking at it from a step back and from, a different perspective, right? It's like, yeah, we did have a chance to win the game and kick that field goal. But in the perspective of we knew Mahomes was cooked. We knew the injury. We were not going to be winning games and probably getting into the playoffs regardless. Do we really want to go out there and win our game and ruin that draft position? Obviously,
no.
I hate the Chargers and I hate the Broncos. But, hey, I'm just saying I'm not too mad about it. Obviously, I want to go out there and win any game we can. But once I saw Mahomes go down, I was at a coach's party and I was like, you know what? There it is. That's the writing on the wall. That's just the way the season's been going, and that's
I think Minshew did pretty okay in his first reps in forever. You have to consider he hasn't been a starting quarterback in a long, long time. He went in there and Kelsey was open. Minshew just completely underthrew him.
That was just a really bad ball.
No, that was the problem. Bad ball. Kelsey was wide open. He obviously wanted to float it up there and lead him down the field and, get Kelsey into prime position to win that game. But he completely underthrew that ball. It just did not have any.
They're really bad. Really bad throw.
That is where a talent issue comes into play. Gardner Minshew, a very fun improvisational quarterback. Very fun. He knows he's smart. He has good IQ, decently. He's proven that he's at least better than Justin Fields, LOL. But that was just a talent issue. He didn't have the arm strength to throw that the way he wanted to throw that. And it resulted in ending the season. I don't blame him at all for that. Season was ended when Mahomes got injured right there on the field. Hey, Brady lovers. Mahomes has never taken a snap when he's been eliminated from the playoffs. So neither is Brady. So it's still up in the air because Brady did get injured and miss a season too. So the debate rages on. But speaking of the debate raging on, Matt Nagy is obviously the biggest Chiefs fan buzzword right now that people want to blame. Oh, the offense sucks under Matt Nagy. I want to be in the neutral field on this because people still can't tell if he calls plays or not. I think the people that defend Matt Nagy saying he doesn't call plays and all that shit, well, quite frankly, if he's not calling plays, he's not helping the offense, and the offense is terrible. So why would you want a guy that's doing nothing and is just a yes man? By that argument, that's stupid. On the other side, he is calling plays, and you're wrong. If you look at the broadcast against the Texans, Matt Nagy literally has a play sheet in his hand, side by side with the Texans defensive coordinator, who they're also highlighting calling plays. And they literally have Matt Nagy on the mic with the play sheet in front of him. You're like, oh, he's just relaying what Reed says to him. Okay, I work in broadcast production.
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works. Those announcers were literally in production meetings with the coaches, and the coaches were talking about maybe Nagy calling plays for this game. If it's only this game, that's true, whatever. He called plays for that game. They were talking about that to the point where they wanted the producer to literally make a side-by-side box to highlight that as a moment in the game. So that does mean that Matt Nagy is calling plays. So, well, let's look at the numbers.
And, going on that whole point, it's like, I'm going to take you on a time portal, back to the first Super Bowl we played against the 49ers. A really popular, clip that came out of that was Mahomes going to the sideline. And what was the famous play that, basically, jump started our offense to go back and win that game, David?
Do we have time to run Wasp? He asked.
Do we have time to run Wasps? He is not going over to the sideline and asking Andy Reid. He is asking Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. Obviously, things could have changed since then in terms of how we run, but I don't see that change being a significant thing that Andy Reid would have done, right? So either way, regardless if Matt Nagy is running the plays, which I think he is, if he's not, what is he doing during practice times, during meetings that is working negatively towards the team? Because the product we see on the field is not up to par, which I know you have a graphic you're about to pull up, and we're about to show the immediate decline the moment Matt Nagy and just another specific individual we'll talk about in a little bit.
Well, you could talk about him right now because I still have to get that graphic pulled up. But I mean, basically the gist of it is Mahomes has not thrown 30 touchdowns in a season under the Matt Nagy, Connor Embry tandem,
duo,
as we can say, the duo. That's when Connor Embry took over as wide receivers coach. And as we all know, the wide receiver play has been horrible. A lot of that has been due to the excuse of Tyreek Hill leaving, and that's a fair excuse. But that excuse is no longer valid when you have a stacked wide receiver core this year that can't separate against man coverage. All of a sudden, that problem is no longer a valid excuse. So now you start to look at coaching. Where does Connor Embry come from? Garrett, he coached a graduate assistant in college?
He started in high school, became a graduate assistant for, I think, UNLV, and then went to a high school in Colorado as a wide receivers coach. Took 2 years off, and now he became a member of the chief staff, which really odd jump if you think about it. Obviously, hey, maybe he knew some guys, maybe there's something going on that really got him that position. And, he started off as a defensive assistant, then moved his way over to the offensive side of the ball. But regardless, right, coaching is a very strange aspect to talk about, the downfalls of a team, because there, a lot of that stuff when it comes to coaching happens behind closed doors. You don't see coaches making plays while you're watching the games. So it's really hard to decide who's making these decisions and who's making the wrong ones when it comes to coaching. And it comes down to how we're utilizing the talent on our team. And when I look back at the season, right, and the last couple seasons as a Chiefs fan, we've as the Chiefs organization have kind of gotten into this motion of we draft contentment, as well as we draft with receivers with really good talent in a lot of places, but we take one of their talents. Let's say Tyquan Thornton, for example. We've seen him make phenomenal plays. Anytime he's on the field, he's seemingly open. He's a really great route runner. But when are the only times we see him on the field? It's just to utilize his speed for a deep ball, right? We have about, I would say, 3 true wide receivers on the team. That'd be Tyquan Thornton, Rashee Rice, and Xavier and Jalen Royals. Those are your 3 prototypical wide receiver types. But all of them have been put into
everyone else is under 5'10".
Everyone else has been put into this is your gadget role, right? Like Xavier Worthy in college, he was really phenomenal, intermediate routes, really good, these drags, these crossers. We never use him for that. What do we use him for? Deep balls.
Literally.
That's it.
No,
and little gadget end arounds.
Or yes, a gadget end around, or a literal screen that's 5 yards back from the line of scrimmage. You throw it to him right off there. And a couple fast curl routes that started to cook against the Chargers. I really was liking how they were using him on a quick comeback route towards the sideline, get him the ball. it started to feel like towards the end of that Chargers game, all of a sudden they remembered how to call plays a little bit, but it was a little bit too late in the season. I was very frustrated.
And it goes
Gary,
back to that. I forgot who said that quote, but it was like, our offense is really predictable, right? Like, oh, I know exactly what Worthy's doing on this play, and it's because we've dumbed down each of our receivers to their gadget areas, right?
yes,
We're not
and
allowing.
we haven't drafted. Yeah, no, continue.
We're not allowing all of our receivers to implement all of their route combos, right? Like we have them put in their little corners, and that's what they do, right? And we can see the immediate decline the moment Nagy and Embry became the focal point of that specific part of our organization.
Like Mahomes was throwing almost 5,000 yards for 5 years straight. That 2019 season, I believe he got hurt a little bit of, but 37 touchdowns was the other lowest point before the takeover. The best season Mahomes had was inarguably, honestly, it's not that great of a season. He's also hit the interceptions numbers higher than most of his other seasons. That 2023 season, 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, and then it just gets worse. And you could blame Mahomes, you could blame the O-line. But he's never had a left tackle his whole career anyway. Like, yes, when we had Eric Fisher, Mitchell Schwartz, holy cow, that's a tongue twister for me. When we had Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, it was a really good combo. But once that combo went away, we probably went through like 20 different combinations before we could really figure out what worked.
In Mahomes' first 63 starts, David, he had 2 left tackles. In his last 63, do you know how many he's had? 8.
Like 8? Well,
8.
I guess when you count Wanya when he goes out there, you count Esapole. That's crazy. Give me that stat. I'm gonna make that a graphic because that's awesome.
So,
where'd you get that?
I saw it on a post earlier. But regardless, like we're talking about coaching because when it comes down to these points in the season, we see the talent we have on the roster, and they're not being utilized in the correct way. And you can see it on the field. They're frustrated. Mahomes is getting these calls. You can see him visibly agitated. Like, why is this the play call we're running? Why is this the scheme or the formation that we're going against whatever they're showing us in the time, right? And it's like something has to change. And unfortunately, with the way that we've seen, the Chiefs, administration go throughout the season, I don't think there's going to be a lot of change. Maybe I think there's going to be a lot of change in terms of personnel on the field. I really doubt coaching change is going to happen.
And I wanted to get to that point too. For all you fans out there who are screaming Matt Nagy gets fired, your best hope that he's gone is he gets hired as a head coach somewhere else. Because I already have seen reports, and I'm gonna say this right now as my take. He is not getting fired. He will not get fired.
No.
He is staying here until the end of his contract, potentially. He might not get extended, but he's not getting fired. It's been reported already that he's staying. Hopefully he gets a head coaching job because I do think that would be a nice change, that the Chiefs offense could use a little new change. God forbid he becomes our head coach if Andy Reid retires. But I think the bigger problem is some of these assistant coaches, some of these personnel coaches, those coaches have a huge impact. I mean, you look at Sean McVay, you look at anyone in the Sean McVay tree, a lot of the guys that went under Sean McVay will go from offensive passing coordinator straight to head coach because they know how great of a assistant coach they have been to where they can be a head coach. And you see guys like our Mike Kafka, like we need guys like him back. I think Connor Embry is a realistic person you could see getting fired, and that change alone might be enough. Yeah. Now Garrett thinks that he has some sort of deep state connection to the Chiefs.
No, I don't think there's a deep state connection. I just think that the last time there's been a major coaching change in terms of the Chiefs staff was Bob Sutton. And the absolute outrage that people were giving towards the organization, like it had to happen. I know a lot of people that want Matt Nagy gone, but like there isn't that visible outrage consistently that we saw with Bob Sutton. Like if
Bob Sutton never got a job again.
No. Like if you went anywhere in Kansas City during the Bob Sutton era, like that was the first thing anyone talked about Chiefs. Like he was terrible. He had some of the worst defenses I have ever seen, but we were still winning games because that's when Mahomes had a great offensive mind, great offensive coordinator, and was able to just sling it to a really great route concept. We still had good wide receivers, And which
he
I
had
think
two tackles.
And he had 2 tackles. And it's like, I honestly, call me crazy, I would rather have a much worse defense and let us see that kind of Mahomes again than just play this just grudgingly slow bully ball that doesn't work.
It doesn't work when you don't run the ball. Our offense is so contingent on a successful run game, and we don't run the ball. That's the most baffling part of this whole offense. And the other stat that I saw that was even crazier, if you want to go into Andy Reid, I know people say they want Andy Reid fired. Don't do that. Don't say that. Andy Reid's going to figure it out. He's going to be fine. And
bro brought us 3 Super Bowls. Like, he can retire whenever he wants at this point, for all I care.
Yeah. And you know what? If he retires, I could welcome it too. I'm going to be happy either way. If we keep Reid or if he retires, I'm happy either way. Yeah. But I will say this. He has only had one running back with 1,000 yards in 10 seasons with the Chiefs. One running back, Garrett. One. And it was Kareem Hunt. And he didn't even get to stay this season after he did that. So, and that goes back to who made Kareem Hunt such a great running back. And Eric Bieniemy, because Eric Bieniemy is a former running back from Colorado. He loves to run the ball. I think Eric Bieniemy was such a good compliment to Andy Reid in this offense because he made the run feel like a threat. Even when you look back at that Chiefs offense, you're like, oh, but the numbers passing were insane. Yeah. And Damian Williams, a bum, had 800 rushing yards, and won almost a Super Bowl MVP.
And Darrell Williams had like 750 yards. Like, where are we? Like, that's the kind of offensive production that we need, and it's just not happening because we have yes men at offensive coordinator and wide receiver.
No, that's a great point too, because like Darrell Williams literally did nothing anywhere else after he left the Chiefs. And I loved Darrell Williams. That's a deep cut, Garrett.
Playoff Williams, dude.
Back.
Both Damian and Darrell, playoff Williams, those were the best times of being a Chiefs fan was playoff Williams. Like, who cares about Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, how great seasons they had during the time? I wanted to see Darrell Williams go off in a Super Bowl, you know?
And our buddy Vishnu, shout out, has a Damian Williams jersey. And you know what? I was a hater back then of Damian Williams. I was like, oh, he's such a boring running back. But, dude, he's got more yards than anybody on the team does this year because
when our
will make
backfield, dude, when our backfield was Darrell Williams and Shady McCoy, like, what were we doing?
We had Le'Veon Bell for a little bit.
Yeah, we had Chiefs legend Le'Veon Bell,
Chiefs legend Ronald Jones, Chiefs legend oh my gosh, Akeem Hunt. Remember Akeem
who was that kid from Nebraska that you really liked?
Oh, DiCaprio Bootle, the corner.
Yeah. DiCaprio Bootle, dude.
I mean, hey, practice squad guy who famously fought Kelsey. Yeah. All this to say, I actually don't think we should draft a running back. And I know Garrett's already said that on the podcast. I don't think we should draft a running back in the first round. Let me rephrase that before you take that out of context.
We can take a second round running back.
Because Damian Williams came from Miami and was not a starter at all, was a role player at Miami, and he became the lead back for us. Darrell Williams was a UDFA. Pacheco, a 7th rounder. Brashard Smith, a 7th rounder. These are guys that, yes, could be amazing in the right scheme. It's not a running back issue. It is a coaching issue. It doesn't help that we also have the worst running back room in the NFL, but it doesn't need to go from an overcorrection fix where now you're sacrificing, oh, Caleb Downs is on the board here. Let me just take Jeremiah Love because we need a running back. Oh, Peter Woods is on the board, defensive tackle out of Clemson, who could really make an immediate impact, be the heir to Chris Jones. Oh, we don't want to take him because we need a running back so bad because we need to overcorrect for the problem. I love Veach, and I think he's done a great job of fixing when a position group sucks. But recently, I think he's done too much of overcorrecting, and he especially did that with the offensive line, and it took a while, but it finally fixed itself, but it also had to shoot itself in the foot with signings like Jawan Taylor. Jalen Moore signing was a much smarter signing. He learned from his mistakes with Jawan Taylor. The Jalen Moore signing was a much smarter signing. Sign a cheap veteran and draft a replacement. That's how it's done. And boy, howdy, we could talk the Christian Fulton signing. Oh my God. Oh yeah, that was another thing, Garrett. It was on topic earlier when we were talking about the end of the season, starting younger guys from the practice squad getting opportunity. Shout out Kevin Knowles, the Seminole from Florida State. Mm-hmm. He started over Christian Fulton. Christian Fulton makes $20 million over the next 2 years. Kevin Knowles was a UDFA rookie. He was playing over him because he's better already. So again,
it really that Fulton signing hurts so bad. And if you guys if you guys don't know our cap situation going into next year, it is bad. We are, I think, negative 35 million under the cap as it stands right now.
There's some things to fix.
There's some things we can do that could, we can get up there, but there are some pretty drastic things that we'll talk about a little later when it comes to what we should think going forward. We might be able to do with the season, but I'm really excited to see these injuries for sure. Which, by the way, massive amount of them all of a sudden during the Chargers game, as well as just off the field.
Yeah, I agree, Garrett. I think some of these injuries are kind of like shutting down some veterans for the season potentially, or giving them some rest, or potentially shutting them down because you might trade them. Although Trent McDuffie is actually banged up, but he could be.
He's been banged up for a while. Yeah,
we'll talk about that trade candidate stuff later too. Obviously, the big one: Patrick Mahomes is out for the season. Torres ACL, and I think he has damage on his LCL too. So not great there. Obviously, you still have Josh Simmons on IR. You still have Wanya Morris on IR. Jawan Taylor, Trey Smith, and Jalen Moore are not practicing. So that's 5 offensive linemen down, and they are all offensive tackles, except for Trey Smith as a guard. That's really bad. Then you have Trent McDuffie is not practicing with a knee injury. Leo Chenal has a shoulder injury that I didn't see happen all of a sudden. Apparently Nick Bolton's practicing, but he was literally out twice in that Chargers game. He got injured twice in that game. Chris Jones has a hamstring injury that popped up. He's not practicing. Rashee Rice and Tyquan Thornton have not practiced twice now for concussion protocol. So Rashee Rice and Thornton, concussion protocol. We might not even see them this weekend against the Titans. And then the more interesting news, Garrett, is who's being brought up to play. You have Zach Pickens, a defensive tackle, third round pick by the Chicago Bears in 2023. He's getting signed for the first time to the active roster, trying to see if a younger guy here can, be something as a defensive tackle. And then you have Najee Johnson, everyone's favorite DB, and Jake Brenningstool, the Clemson tight end that we had as an undrafted free agent rookie, both returning to practice after being on the pseudo IR list, I like to call it, all of season. I mean, we all know Najee was actually healthy at some points later. Brenningstool had a slight injury. They stuck him on IR just to stash them, because we like to do that. We like to stash and hide young players on IR. It's a kind of brutal practice that we do, but it does, give you some extra talent for the next coming years. But now we're trying to see, do they have something? Now's their time to shine.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because, we've already seen a couple of our younger guys, get significant playing time at the tackle position, and we've seen them perform really well, right? So I'm excited. We're not bandwagon fans. We're still going to be watching these games, rooting for the boys, right? But when it comes down to performance, all I want to see is, how we lost to the Chargers, I think, is one of the biggest, talking points that I don't really see going, through the media right now is
Absolutely.
they played with fire. They played with fire. The amount of insane, crazy good hits they had on our wide receivers all night, I haven't seen that from our defense at all season.
This season.
All season. They were lighting us up at the catch, dude. It was I understand I forgot the guy's name that got
Tony
ejected.
Jefferson.
It was a really it wasn't
BS.
intentional. It was a really unfortunate. Just looked like the head went down. It was head-to-head contact. I don't think he should have been ejected. But
I think they ejected him from being a repeating offender throughout the entire game. That's the only logical explanation to me, because that hit alone should not have ejected him at all.
Because they were playing with fire all night, and we just had no answer.
I thought we were going to finally match that fire once he hit Tyquan Thornton, and then you saw Rashee Rice, Nico Remigio, Isaiah Pacheco, benches cleared, and it was like an all-out fight. And I thought, okay, this is the part.
And then
the
back
Chiefs
to
and back to contentment. Oh, we just got this play call. Now we can't actually win the game.
They heard that headset one time. They're like, "Yeah, never mind. We're cooked. We're cooked. Nice job, Nagy."
Well, I think Mahomes got injured pretty fast after that too. But
yeah, that kind of took the wind out of just about everybody in the stadium. I think that might have been the quietest I've ever seen Arrowhead ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really unfortunate.
But Garrett, what happened 2 weeks in a row now is 2 plays, 1 play in, a tackle goes down for injury, a practice squad player recently elevated gets a chance to make their first first NFL start.
And he has a day, baby. Chew Godric, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. He actually did an interview with us a long time
ago. Way back
because when we were just starting, when we were a small little talking shop, and we're still pretty small on YouTube, I'll give you that. Go check out the Instagram, LOL. But Chew Godric, very kind guy, did a podcast episode with us. He's one of the International Pathway Player Program guys. He's been on the roster's practice squad for like 3 years now.
Has only played football for 3 years.
And finally gets a chance.
Didn't play in college because obviously he was brought over in the International Pathway Program. He has been playing football for 3 years. And he had a phenomenal day. No pressures, no sacks, no hits. Just thrown to the wolves out there when Jalen Moore goes down, and he plays incredibly well. Against
a really good Chargers pass rush. I mean, you have Khalil Mack, who swaps between the left side and the right side. And you have, Tui Tuilapope. I can't say his name, God. But he's one of the top 5 sacks leaders right now, too. So you got a really good Chargers pass rush. He really held his own. And then we'll give another shout out. Oh, well, first, let's show the clip of Garrett actually knowing how to say Chew Godric's name.
I want to see who can actually pronounce my name right. No Chiefs kid though, but I got something for you if you can.
All right, Garrett, I think you have it if you want to go for it.
It's Chukwuebuka Jason Godric, right?
You made that too easy, man. You've been practicing, haven't you?
Maybe just a little. You might call me a little bit.
Dude,
back in the day, huh? Back in the day.
Yeah,
good to reminisce.
Back in the day. When you were wearing your Andy Reid Hawaiian shirt.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That was just the vibe for the day, It was a nice hot day in Kansas City, and interviewing a Chiefs practice squad offensive lineman and just having a good time.
Yeah, it was in July. If you guys want to go check out the interview, I highly encourage it. He's very chill, down to earth. He talked about how the boys were getting him into fishing. He talked about his NBA, like my career player. He was talking about how he actually played a lot of basketball when he was in Lagos, Nigeria, where he lived and grew up. And he played the 2 and the 3. So, I mean, he kind of had to bulk up almost more to be an offensive lineman. He's still under 300 for a right tackle in the NFL, and he did a really good job. So
yeah, he played phenomenally. Played phenomenal.
All right. Ashton Gelati, man, have a day. We've been waiting for this all season. He was drafted really high in this past draft. Hasn't really gotten a lot of snaps. Finally gets a lot of playing time in this game. I noticed a little bit of defensive personnel changes in this game. We already talked about Kevin Knowles playing a lot more. Ashton Gelati had an interception when Spags decided to put him at defensive end in coverage.
Classic, the Spags classic, dropping a D end into pass coverage for whatever reason. But hey, it worked, I guess.
He had a half a sack. I thought it was a full sack. PFF calls it a full sack. ESPN calls it a half a sack.
We're giving it the full sack, I think. I know the graphic says half a sack, but watching the game, it was his sack. Let's be for real.
He actually had a lot of pressures throughout the game. He felt like a game wrecker in that game. That's why he deserves to have a day. And the solid PFF rating of 78.3. Here on Talking Shop, PFF is not king. We just like their stats.
Well, they're really good stat keepers. If you are religiously following their grades, I respectfully just say watch the games. Maybe just form your own opinion. Don't be a stat watcher. Be a ball watcher. Okay, that's how you became a ball knower, right? Exactly. We talk about anytime we bring Alex from Chiefs Talk on here. We're the ball knowers. Okay,
absolutely.
So watch the games. He needs
to hop back on the mic. His podcast, he hasn't done an episode
Facts.
recently.
Get back on there, Alex. You know what to do. Get back on the pod.
All right. Well, let's go over some of the off-season moves that we could possibly make that might actually, make a difference. I think me and you both agree of what's going to be probably the first move once the post-June cut is allowed to be done.
Cut Juwan Taylor.
Yep. Nothing personal. Nothing personal, nothing performance-based. It just saves a lot of money.
You have performed better this season than the last couple. I'll give him that. But when it comes to $27 million versus $7 million, we're gonna cut you, brother. We're gonna cut. I'm sorry. It's immediately $20 million in savings. We're $35 million under. That puts us at 15. We trade a couple other guys. We're gonna be back in the green and we'll be ready to go. And unfortunately, that's just the first move that we're gonna have to make, and it's just cutting Jawan Taylor.
Yeah, I think this is almost a lock to happen. You save 20 million, like Garrett said. You do take on the 7 million in dead cap,
But that's almost nothing compared to 27 million and keeping him on the roster.
Yeah. And you already have your future right tackle. You have Jalen Moore, who you signed for 2 years that you planned on having him. You also have now you have Chu Godric. You still have Wanya.
And Sapole. I mean, we have significantly young options on low contracts that have shown in the last couple of games that they can play some good ball, and we just don't need a high contract right tackle right now.
And what's great about having Jalen Moore is you can draft a right tackle for cheap in maybe the 3rd round and have a younger rookie that you take a flyer on, because it doesn't have to be the starter. You don't have to have the right tackle starter. Josh Simmons has that left tackle spot locked down, which is really great. Mm-hmm. So what's another move, Garrett, that you think we're going to have to make? I
think we'll go in order of realism, right? I think the next most realistic move is that we trade McDuffie.
And that's a sad move.
It's sad. It sucks. McDuffie's been a phenomenal player for us. He's been a Chiefs homer, a Chiefs MVP at the end of the season. And
2 All-Pros.
It sucks. 2 All-Pros. It sucks to see a player like that go. But with the money situation we have right now and the success we've had drafting cornerbacks, I don't see him sticking around.
And the success we have trading cornerbacks. We traded Snead. I guess we let go of Charvarius Ward. I don't know. I mean, we've replaced him every time pretty well. Jalen Watson's also probably going to be gone. So you trade McDuffie and lose Watson, it's going to be a different secondary next year. You have Noel Williams. You do have Christian Fulton. He is still going to be on the roster. I'm going to ask our stats man actually to look up what would happen if we cut Christian Fulton next year.
I think it's fully guaranteed is the sucky part. I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed.
So we'll have Fulton on the roster next year, potentially. Unless you can trade him. So it's going to look like a different secondary. And I think the safety position is one of the ones that has to improve the most. You don't really have anybody you're paying in that position anyway. So,
15 mil guaranteed, dude. Oh, my God.
Well, that's about 75% of the contract.
Now, there are other moves we can make, right? And we talked about, we're probably going to be moving a lot of players around on the defense just to at least our correct positions, hopefully. Move Chamari Connor away from, that
slot
nickel
corner.
We don't need that. He's just not that guy.
Unfortunately, he might have to play that next year.
I know, but I mean, hey, maybe a full off season of maybe working just that position might help him out a bit. We need to move players away. I understand Spags loves doing this. We need to move away from making players like Swiss Army knives and really just let them hone in and focus on a specific position.
Especially young guys. Like, I understand making Tyrann Mathieu play a lot of slot corner in our system.
But he's a veteran that knows a lot of systems, and he has those veteran instincts to make these plays. Chamari Connor does not have those built-in instincts of years of playing in the game and reading offenses, right?
It's not like he's a Caleb Downs either, where he's like a top draft pick that you could maybe move to slot corner. He's a 4th round pick out of a smaller school, I say, but Virginia Tech. He doesn't need those expectations thrown on him. He played strong safety. He played box safety in college. He was more of a Jamal Adams type than. And
we're asking him to go out there. Hey, I want you to lock down Lad McConkey. That's just not going to happen. And man, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
No.
So we're going to have to figure out the DB position. Once we trade McDuffie. But I think the draft capital we're going to get in that trade, as well as the cap space freed up, is going to help us. At least towards our goal, which is. We need a consistent defense. I don't need a lockdown defense. I need a consistent defense, and we need to fix and make our offense more explosive. I think those are the 2 biggest concerns going into next season. Our defense right now has really great games and really bad games. We need to be right in the middle, right? I don't need really great games. I need you to make 4, 5 good stops a game, and then we're chilling. Let offense do their thing, right? And going forward, probably the next now we're going to the territory of probably not going to happen, but
still could.
Still could, and honestly, in my opinion, should happen.
Talk about Chris Jones.
Trade Chris Jones.
Yeah.
I love the brother. I love him. He's been, a staple of this Chiefs dynasty. But with the contract he has right now and the production on the field, the amount of cap space we would free up, and we definitely wouldn't get nearly as much draft capital as we would, trading McDuffie as we're going to trade Chris Jones. He's getting up there in age, but I don't see a world in which he just wasn't that guy this year. He wasn't.
No.
He wasn't that playmaker that we've seen in years past.
And he's also one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league by a lot.
So I think we could realistically get a 5th round pick for him, maybe a 4th, just with the contract. But it's to me, it's more about freeing up the cap space to go out there and potentially sign a free agent to replace him, or allow us to make another trade to get someone that is of that value.
I agree. And I think you might swing a 3rd or a 4th, but I understand Garrett lowballing the draft picks because of that contract. And we saw this, I feel like younger NFL fans who grew up playing Madden think that you just trade this superstar Chris Jones, who's like a 97 overall or whatever the hell, and you're going to get a 1st round pick back.
No.
That's just not how this works in real life. I've seen some pretty prominent accounts saying that they think they're going to get a 1st round pick for Trent McDuffie. I don't even think that's a guarantee, Garrett, because you're getting him on a contract year. I'll say this again. Jalen Ramsey was traded for 2 1st round picks, and Sauce Gardner was traded for 2 1st round picks. Now, the reason I think Sauce Gardner was traded for 2 1st round picks is they have him under control for the next 5 years. That's why. And then Jalen Ramsey is a prototypical build. He's 6'2". He's an outside corner. McDuffie's
those are the big things, is that those two were outside corners. Now, I will say, McDuffie has more All-Pros than both Jalen Ramsey and Gardner had at the time of their trades, which can go into that. I think a 1st rounder is possible. I really doubt it. I think we probably get I think we get a 2nd rounder for him. People saying we're going to get an equal trade value of 2. You're just out of your mind.
No, we're not
if you think we're going to get 2 first. You're just literally out of your mind, right?
I think realistically we get a 2nd, a 3rd, a 5th, and a 7th. I could see Veach doing what he did with Tyreek Hill. We got a late 1st, I guess, for Tyreek Hill, but seeing a more package trade than anything else, getting multiple picks, because we only have 5 draft picks, Garrett, and we have a lot of holes. So I could see Veach would maybe rather have 4 draft picks than 1 single 1st round draft pick for Trent McDuffie. And the Kingdom's got to be okay with that. Look at what the Niners did with the Panthers. The Panthers have completely retooled their team after trading Christian McCaffrey.
And that defense is solid right now. That Panthers defense is disgusting.
And they traded Christian McCaffrey, did not get a single 1st round pick. But what did they get? A 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and a 6th, and a 7th. They traded for the rest of the Niners draft. And you know what? Having multiple
working out
picks
pretty well.
works. It works. And now their team is figuring it out.
Obviously, we're not going to get those crazy amount of picks with a guy like Chris Jones, but it's more about opening up the availability of the money, right? And I think, last one we'll probably talk about when it comes to potential trade prospects this is probably the most unlikely. I doubt this one happens, but I could see it. Bolton.
Really?
And, Bolton has been, on and off throughout his time as a Chief. I feel like a lot of people are Bolton haters, right? There's a significant amount of Bolton. It's 2 sides, right? But we've seen his in the box play slightly. He still has a ton of tackles, but at the same time, we've seen him time and time again miss these really crucial simple tackles. And
he's also bad in coverage.
And he's terrible in I wouldn't even say bad. He's terrible in coverage. We can just say that outright. That's not even a secret. He is terrible in coverage. And for the amount of money he's making, it's possible that Veach looks at that contract, sees what we could get for him out in the open market, and be like, you know what? Maybe our defense looks pretty bad next year, but we get a bunch of guys to retool and maybe potentially get at least a consistent mid to average defense next year and just tool up on offense. And I could definitely see it happen.
Well, the thing with that one, too, is then you look at the guy next to him, Drew Tranquil, and then you look at the guy on the defensive line, Mike Dana, and they also have sneaky, expensive contracts. Dana's making like $10 million a year. Mike Dana's making $10 million a year. He has not. I don't even think he had 3 sacks this season. I don't think that's wrong.
No.
And I think Mike Dana's a guy that might just get straight up cut. And a guy like Drew Tranquil is a guy that might have to have his contract evaluated, even though he has shown lots of great things even this season. He's had great games and bad games. The Bills game, he was horrible. He was literally the target that all the tight ends were lining up against. That could be scheme versus player. Why is Drew Tranquil on Dalton Kincaid, who's basically a wide receiver at tight end sometimes? I don't know. But then you also have the games like the Chargers' first game when he had 2 sacks, and that was a difference maker in that game. Yeah. They still lost, but I mean, those are other big contracts that might need to be moved on from.
And, and to the people, really holding on to these players, it's like, I'm going to pose this question to you, David. It's like,
Dana
we had
has
a
one sack.
One sack. We had a player post this today saying, I hope this isn't the last one. And that was Leo Chenal today. He posted a season recap. In this situation, if we don't have the money, would you rather keep Bolton and lose Chenal or trade Bolton and keep Chenal? I'm keeping Chenal.
Is Leo Chenal on a contract?
Yes, he is.
No,
yes, he is.
No. Oh, no, we're going to lose him for sure. He's going to get the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so tough. Yeah, Leo Chenal's on a contract here.
So,
I just looked it up.
If any of you at home have been keeping track, if we cut Juwan Taylor, trade McDuffie, Chris Jones, and Nick Bolton, we, regardless of whatever we get, draft capital-wise, player-wise, we will go from negative $35 million in cap to right around $48 million, just from trading those players.
Yeah, well, you gotta break an egg to make an omelet, is what they say. Gary.
Exactly.
You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, and our omelet is ass right now.
It is, yeah. We are not. We were cooking and we burned the bacon, right? So. What needs to happen is, I honestly could see a world where all of that happens. We open up quite a bit of cap space, and we make some good signings. I would love to keep Leo Chenal. He's been an absolute dog this year.
He's going to get Tershawn Wharton money is the problem.
Even though I don't think Tershawn Wharton got that much of a bag. I mean, yeah, it was a big bag, but for the production he had on our team, I would have paid the bag.
Wait, so didn't Tershawn Wharton only get basically what is equivalent to Mike Dana money now, if we look at it? 3-year, $45 million. That's about. Well, his cap hit this year is only $6 million.
Yeah, so got rid of Turk for no reason. Regardless,
because then you sign Fulton and Dana to $10 million a year contracts, and then that's where the problem happens. I think what happened this offseason for the first time ever is we picked the wrong role players. We got them wrong. We thought it was Dana and Tranquil. It was Tershawn Wharton. It was Justin Reed, who actually I was against it too. I thought we should get rid of him, but we could use a Justin Reed right now. And yeah, and maybe you should have extended Chenal earlier, or you should have waited to pay Karlaftis till his contract year.
And
I don't know. I'm going
to give I think I'll play devil's advocate at the way end of the episode, and I think one thing that a lot of people neglect to realize about having a dynasty or having such sustained success over the amount of time that we've had is if you have a team like the Jets or you have a team like the Giants who are consistently missing the playoffs, they play 17, 18 games a season, right? If we have the Chiefs, who in the last 7 years, the least we've made it into the playoffs was overtime in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
That is, at minimum, 4 extra games a season, right? That starts to build over and over and over. right? That could potentially be a reason we see these guys just look sluggish. We've seen them look content and sluggish on the field. It's just we've had these guys on the field for so long. I know a lot of people were tired of it. Like we've seen Chiefs red in February every single year for the last 7 years.
Yeah,
right.
It's that time period too. It's not just 4 extra games; it's the months. Those games are
it's the practices
out.
and
out.
just the meetings, right? But that's me playing devil's advocate. I see some people.
I'll piggyback on that too from a GM perspective. Brett Veach's offseason starts today. Actually, it started whenever the hell we lost to the Chargers.
Honestly, when Mahomes got injured.
Yes. So it started December, 12th or whenever the hell we played.
13th, I think. But
okay. It started in December. His previous offseason started in February. He has a 2-month head start now on analyzing draft talent, looking at the free agent list, seeing who's going to be available for him to sign. Maybe that'll help impact personnel decisions. He has a lot more time to make these decisions than he has had in previous times. And it's like the same thing with the NIL and the transfer portal in college football, where the playoffs, you have to transfer before you go to the playoffs in college. Otherwise, the portal's closed and you lose all your potential players that you can sign. A similar thing in the NFL is now he has a jump start on all of them. So
yep.
I think it will be hopefully a short retooling. I think they've said in their interviews, Garrett, that there will be huge personnel changes. They weren't hiding that. People wanted that to be coaching personnel, but they meant player personnel.
Yeah.
So I do think you're going to see a completely different Chiefs team next year. Let's talk about who you think is going to stay on the team. Patrick Mahomes. Kelsey's retirement up in the air. That would save us a lot of money.
I think that's confirmed. I think he's gone.
Just because he said the thing. I don't think he's going to end this way. And you know what's funny, Garrett? His last ever NFL pass will be by Gardner Minshew. His last NFL touchdown will be by Gardner Minshew instead of Mahomes. I mean, that's going to feel so weird, but I mean, these things happen.
Here's the thing. When I watched that podcast and I saw Kelsey's demeanor, right? And I don't, you might have seen this clip before, but when Jason asked him about how do you feel about Mahomes' injury and how it's going to be going forward for the organization, he said, "I hope the Chiefs get him back soon."
Yeah,
he did not say we, and I think subconsciously that's a very telling way to put a sentence.
Yeah.
And even if he does retire, from what we've seen, he was playing at a very high level, right? He was still probably top 5 tight end this year.
It sucks because he was playing at a better level this year than last year, but his mental mistakes were way more costly this year. And that be the difference.
And you have guys thinking about that mental part of the game, and I think of it like the same thing as Luke Kuechly, right? He retired in still a prime part of his physicality, right? But he went out in that press conference and he was like, the game's gotten too fast for me, right? And I think a lot of people would disagree with that considering how well he was playing, but it's that mental toll on players that is unseen by a lot of people. And maybe Kelsey's just he has too much on the plate, when he's going to 1587, I guess. But hey, if he retires, dude's a first ballot Hall of Famer, immediate retiring of the jersey number. So
hell of a career, and I think he got a little overhated and slept on in the last couple of years that he played, just because of the standard he set, how great he was really playing. Yeah. I think it really he's a great all-time great. Garrett, let's keep going down this list of players. I got a list here for you. Hollywood Brown, definitely gone. Juju Smith-Schuster,
gone.
Xavier Worthy,
here.
We'll keep him. I think he'll be here till the end of his contract. Rashee Rice, that contract's coming up soon. We probably will keep him. But do you think we re-sign him or extend him?
I feel like, the last couple of games, people have gotten a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to Rashee Rice. He is still a phenomenal receiver. Mahomes obviously trusts him with the ball. I mean, the couple of drops he's had in the last couple, they've kind of been low-key hospital balls. I'm not going to put too much on either side, but the dude's getting lit up in these games.
Yeah.
But it's a keeper. Rashee Rice has been a dog.
Nico Remigio.
I mean, for a low contract,
I don't think so. I mean, he's not.
Yeah. The way he's been playing, especially at kick returner this year, he's been low key some cheeks. So maybe move him out. We should absolutely keep Taekwon.
That's gonna be the hardest one. He is a free agent. I really hope he doesn't get paid by somewhere else because I think that he might get a bag somewhere else. But I think he'll also know too. Don't think short term, think long term. And I think the Chiefs are the best opportunity he has of getting back to himself. I don't think another offensive system is going to be great.
Especially if we get guys like Hollywood and Juju out of the way of him getting reps, right? Like, if we go into next season and our wide receiver room is Rashee Rice, Tyquan Thornton, Xavier Worthy, right?
And Jalen Royals.
I think that looks, at least, appetizing to a guy like Taekwon who's like really, thirsting for these reps, right? These guys are going to get out of his way. I think he gets on the field more next year, especially, with the performance he's had this year.
I hope we re-sign Esapole. I mean, it'll probably be
really it has to be, right? Yeah, that has to be a sign. Like Veach, you can't let him walk again. Especially after the performance he's had in the last 2 games. God. You can't let him walk again.
Garrett, from last episode, and it had been bothering me all week, who was the player like Mike Pennell who we had on our roster, Veach cut, and then realized, I messed up, and brought him back later? It was Esapole. That was the other one.
You can't let him walk again, dude.
Yep.
You can't.
So he can't walk, Kingsley will probably, he's still under contract for a while. I'm going to skip over the players who are under contract for a while and just kind of give you players whose roster status might be up in the air. We already talked about Jawan Taylor. We already talked about Travis Kelce. Noah Gray is here for 2 more years, so he's staying. How about Kareem Hunt?
There's already been reports saying that Pacheco's gone. I think if we're going to keep either of them, it's going to be Kareem.
Yeah, and then I was going to ask you about Pacheco too, but I think both might be gone, honestly. And Elijah Mitchell's definitely gone.
I doubt we lose both because, people are saying, we're losing this guy. We're not going to have a running back room, right?
So I know, but I think
you got to have guys. You got to have at least one guy on the roster that, has
Brashard Smith.
Yeah. I think we keep Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith and we draft a running back. I think that's the way we go. Maybe we even trade. Maybe we even get one in free agency or trade for one. But I think Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith are stays on the roster.
It makes sense if you're gonna decide between keeping Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, because Brashard Smith is like a receiving scat back speed. Kareem Hunt more power. They complement each other well.
It was telling though. I find it interesting that in the Chargers game, Pacheco got the start over Kareem.
And what was also telling is Brashard Smith got a lot of touches in that game. And by a lot, I mean like 2 to 3. But
which is odd because I feel like anytime I've seen our ball carriers run the ball, Kareem Hunt's been the guy that's been consistently making the plays. So to see a guy like Pacheco come back from that injury and get the start over him and then not play up to par, it was interesting to see. And that goes back to the point of what are they seeing in practice that is making these decisions to get them on the field, right? It's like with guys like Esapole and Chu Godric. It's like, if they've been playing this well, why are they not starting over guys like Wanya Morris?
Exactly. Well, do you think Wanya Morris will be on the roster next year?
I mean, will he probably be? Yes. Do I want him to be? No.
All right. We got to go through the defense relatively quickly. I mean, most of the defensive line is probably going to be back in terms of the left side of the edge rushers. I'm looking at Carl Loftus, Ashton Gelati. Derek Nottie is definitely probably gone.
He's gone.
Mike Pennell.
That was one of the worst offseason trades ever. It was just so stupid.
That's how we keep losing these late round draft picks, is trading back for bums. But Derek Nottie is definitely gone, hopefully. Jerry Tillery, I don't think played himself well enough to get another deal. He was kind of a plug and play. Mike
Is this
Pennell,
Nazi Johnson's contract here?
It might be. That's
he's still on IR as well.
You could bring him back pretty cheap. He was practicing this week though, so he could be activated at any time.
Yeah.
But Pennell, I know, went on an interview saying he wants to be back. Will Veach bring him back? Probably not till mid-season, if I'm be honest. Yeah. Charles Omenihu and Mike Dana might also both be gone. Charles Omenihu is an interesting one, I will say. I feel like if he takes a vet minimum, he can come back, but he is not worth.
I'd rather Dana be gone and let Gelati get the start and have Omenihu be, that depth guy.
Yeah. Drew Tranquil. We already talked about Nick Bolton. We already talked about Leo Chenal.
God, I know, dude. He needs to be a priority. I understand. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff that's anchoring us to these guys. But if we need to move some guys around, trade some people, that is the one player on our defense that needs to stay.
Well, and the other thing too, the linebackers coach today came out in an interview and said they asked him if you lose Leo Chenal this weekend, what is the game plan to replace him, or who's the player that's going to replace him? And linebacker coach literally said there is not one player that can replace Leo Chenal. It will have to be a committee of different players playing different positions because Leo Chenal does so much for you. He can be a pass coverage linebacker. He can be a Mike. He can be a Sam. He can be a Will. He can be an edge rusher.
And he can be dominant. He can be dominant in the pass rush as well. He's had some phenomenal games doing that. And it's just, if we let him walk, I will be incredibly depressed.
Jalen Watson is definitely going to get a bag elsewhere and will probably have to go. And I think he's less valuable and more replaceable than Leo Chenal. So Jalen Watson will probably have to be gone. I think Josh Williams is also on a contract year. He will probably be gone as well. Mike Edwards is still listed as a starting safety. He is 1,000% gone. Sorry, Mike Edwards. Loved you when you were here and when you were in your prime, but it is really a weak safety room, to say the least. Brian Cook might also be on a contract year. Looking at this now, that would be crazy.
Yeah, we have a lot of young guys on contract years, and it's going to be this Chiefs team is going to be significantly different next year.
Yeah, and then you get to the corners too, like Trent McDuffie. We talked about maybe getting traded. Kevin Knowles, by the way, Garrett, we'd have to bring him back. We'll bring him back pretty cheap. They have him at the slot, right next to Shamari Connor. So that might have been why Knowles played a lot more, is because they're trying to find a new starting slot corner because they don't trust Connor. So that's something interesting to note going into next season. Well, Garrett, that was a great episode. A lot to talk about. There's a lot of free agents that we get to talk about coming up soon. I know we didn't preview the Titans game. Guys, did you really want to preview the Titans game?
We had a lot more interesting stuff to talk about in reality.
Yeah, I think
we're going to lose, but
hey, I think we'll win. I think
don't say that. Don't say that.
But yeah, guys.
I think we'll probably lose 10 to 14 probably be really low scoring.
In the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about free agents, draft prospects. Jackson's already typing up all of the free agent running backs that we could sign, like Rashad White, Breece Hall, Austin Eckler, washed. Najee Harris, washed. Travis Etienne, ooh, enticing. All these great talents that are available. But as always, Garrett, this show is sponsored, so hit that sponsor and we can get out of here.
Use code CHOP for $100 free play when you play $5 on Underdog Fantasy. Really good sponsor of the show. They've been a sponsor for a long time. You can use code Talkin Chop, code CHOP. Sometimes we post pics on the Instagram, so go follow that as well to see if you can ride along with me, and let's see if we can go get some good pics, gentlemen.
Yeah, Garrett, I forgot I haven't posted your pics for a long time now. Maybe
we'll get it going.
Maybe he'll do a Gardner Minshew one.
Hit the unders, baby. No. All of them. Hit the lowers or whatever.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the YouTube podcast. We're always talking chop. I can't wait for this offseason. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to start talking about all these young players that we get to see in these upcoming weeks. There's always an optimistic spin that we can have on the season, guys. So let's go out there, support the boys, show up to the games, watch Gardner Minshew. The games will be much cheaper. Go see how the video board does inside venue at Arrowhead Stadium, because it might be the last time you go to Arrowhead Stadium, because Garrett, they might move to Kansas. They're talking about it again. We'll get into all that offseason stuff later. This is Talking Chop.